Hi, and welcome to True Crime Chats with Abby and Lauren.
I'm Abby.
And I'm Lauren. Today we're going to be covering the Chris Watts case. It's a truly devastating case. For this case, because of the timeline and how events happen, I'm going to go in order of events instead of mentioning the actual crime first, if that makes sense. There are also a lot of text messages, little bits of details which I might put up on the screen to give some more context, and the videos I'm going to try and edit them in where possible. Introducing the people into this case, there's Chris Watts, who is the husband, and the dad, who was born on 16th of May 1985 and is currently 34 years old. There is also Shannon Watts, who is one of the victims in this case. She was married to Chris and was pregnant with her third child at the time of her murder. They were planning on naming the boy Nico. The other victims in this case is Celeste, who was 3 years old when she was murdered, and Bella, who was their other child, who was 4 when she was murdered. So I feel like with any murder case, you look at the very beginning and if there was any precursors or anything like that to indicate what would happen.
Yeah.
So his mum, Chris's mum, Cindy, has been in a few interviews talking about the case, asking what he did as a child, and if there was any indicators. Cindy replied with he played sports from a time when he was 5 years old up until he was 17, and he was in basketball, he was in baseball, he was in football. He loved NASCAR. Him and his dad went to the NASCAR races all the time. He was a good kid, she said. He had 2 best friends, and he grew up with those best friends, and they're still friends with him today. There's nothing that would have predicted any of this. Not like she was just, there's nothing that she feels, but
That's never the case.
yeah, I feel like there could have been stuff going on that
She
didn't know about, which it happens. She also states nothing in his childhood at all. I would have never thought in a million years something like this could have happened. She also continues with no fighting. He was quiet and he got along well with people. He didn't start anything and he was the perfect teenager, to tell you the truth. He didn't even rebel. Now we're getting into the timeline of the case. Starts on the 11th of June 2018. This whole case is mainly based in 2018, so I'll just state the month and the day.
Okay.
On the 11th of June 2018, when Shannon recorded a video of her surprising her husband of the news of their third child. In the video, Chris seems so happy with the news. His words were, "That's awesome. I guess when you want it to, it happens." Online, they seemed like an absolutely perfect couple. She would post about how much she loved him. There was just no one knew that there was anything wrong at all.
That's something that's so scary about cases nowadays, is that you can look through a dead person's life online.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, their search
it's
history,
so
text messages.
Creepy.
Yeah, for sure.
There's something really weird about that for me.
Yeah, I agree. On June 14th, so only several days later, Shannon recorded a video of the 4-year-old Bella singing a song about how much she loved her dad. On the same day that Bella sang that song about how much she loved her dad, he entered a co-worker's contact information into his phone. Nicole Kessinger was her name, and they would start seriously dating by the end of June. On June 17th, this is when we think that Chris tells Nicole that he is married with kids but is in the process of a separation, which we know isn't true.
Okay.
But he made up a cover story.
All right.
19th of June, so only 2 days later, Shannon shares an image of the first ultrasound of Nico and says that Chris is the best dad us girls could ever have. On June 27th, Shannon takes Bella and Celeste to North Carolina for a 5-week vacation while Chris stays at home.
Work?
Yeah, work, but we all know now what he was doing during that time. So July 4th, Nicole went to Chris's house to set up his diet and weight loss goals. He invited her to his home. He cooked lunch, they ate, and she left. That's what she states. However, Chris has told a completely different story. He claims that he woke up at her house on the morning of July 4th with several missed calls from Shannon. He told Nicole he needed to go home in case his wife called back. This made Nicole mad as she felt like the other person, obviously, and she felt that Shannon was being put first.
Ooh.
She then told him that they shouldn't see each other for a few days, for the rest of the day, but later she invited him back to the house. So I really
That's
don't.
a very different story.
Yeah,
That's not even like...
I think both of them are lying.
Really?
Yeah, I reckon. A few days later, on July 7th, the first call is logged between Chris and Nicole. On the 10th of July, we can see the tension build between Chris and Shannon as they text each other. Shannon asks if he's okay. It doesn't seem like he's reciprocating her loving feelings. And he just goes, the last few days, he blames it on work, basically. So Chris blames it on work, and he doesn't mean to seem short, and he loves her to the moon and back. Shannon responded to that comment, "I miss you and I feel like you just want to work out and run." Chris claims that the reason why he's wanting to work out and run a lot is because it helps him clear his head, and with his busy work schedule, that's really helping him. 4 days later, on the 14th of July, Chris takes Nicole on a date to a car museum, and in the afternoon, Shannon makes 4 unanswered calls to Chris. On July 18th, Nicole sends a semi-nude image of herself, which Chris stores on a calculator app on his phone. 10 days later, on July 28th, Chris and Nicole visit a national park and stay the night at a nearby campground, which obviously he can get away with because Shannon and the kids are still on that holiday.
Oh, yeah, of course.
On July 30th, Chris gives Nicole a love letter before leaving town to join his family on their summer vacation. The day after Chris gives Nicole the love letter, he flies to North Carolina for the final week of the family's holiday. The reunion is not happy with Shannon sending texts to Chris, which she later forwards to friends. On August 4th, Shannon sends a message to Chris after he didn't stand up for her when Chris's parents exposed Celeste to nuts which she was allergic to. It is also mentioned how Chris is withdrawn in this text message. On this day, it is also mentioned that Nicole was looking up wedding dresses on her phone for 2 hours according to her phone records.
2 hours?
Yeah. On August 7th, Shannon confides in her friends again about the problems in her relationship. On August 9th, she messages her friends again and decides to cancel the baby's gender reveal because of Chris's behavior and how withdrawn he is. I think that's just so sad.
Yeah.
After she messages her friends about cancelling the baby gender reveal, she leaves for a business trip and tells her friends that she actually had a really great talk with Chris. And Shannon writes a love letter to Chris. On August 11th, Chris hires a babysitter and said he's going to a Colorado game with some co-workers, but in reality, he's going to a sports bar with Nicole. Now we're getting into the disappearance stage of the case. On August 13th at 1:48 a.m., a neighbour's surveillance camera captures Shannon returning from her business trip. Chris told investigators that he was sleeping when his wife came home. She initiated sex and then they went to bed. So this is where things get a bit messy because you've got one person saying this, another person saying this, evidence showing to this. So I'm going to go over what he first tells the investigators, and then I'll go back and I'll explain what actually happened. Okay. So we're up to August 13th at 12:27 p.m. The What's Realtor messages the couple in a group chat. Chris is the only one who is responding in the group chat, and the realtor actually picks up on it and goes, "Is Shannon okay? She's not being very talkative in this conversation." Chris says, "Yeah, it's very odd. I haven't seen her today." At 1:40 p.m. that day, so about an hour after the conversation with the realtor, one of Shannon's friends reports her missing after not being able to get a hold of her. Shannon's car was in the garage, but Shannon wasn't to be seen anywhere.
Yikes.
A police officer comes through their house and looks around and gets Chris's non-official statement of what has happened. The main bed was stripped from any sheets or any covers, and the officer could not see the top sheet anywhere. Then the neighbour invites Chris to come over and look through the surveillance footage. The neighbour's surveillance footage shows that Shannon did not leave while Chris was at work, so she didn't get up and walk out herself. When the police officer was going through the house, he actually recorded the whole thing. And there's
That's
a part of
creepy.
it's really interesting to see. It's quite a there's a whole documentary online. It's really interesting. So the police officer actually recorded while he was looking through the neighbor's house, Chris's house, and at one point in the video, Chris walks off and the neighbor mentions how Chris's behavior is really odd and not like Chris at all. In the afternoon of the 14th, Chris appears on Denver 7 to talk about his wife and children's disappearance. The video where Chris was actually talking on the news channel Denver 7 set off the media and other individuals as Chris is very relaxed and wasn't acting like a person with their whole family missing. In the interview, Chris says the house feels empty without Bella and Celeste, you know, with them not watching cartoons or coming to run and greet him at the door. So on August 15th, everything unravels really, really quick. Police discover that Chris actually has a mistress and then he fails a lie detector test. He admits to strangling his wife and burying her in a shallow grave at an oil site that he worked at. So that's the first timeline that was really given. We'll go back and do a timeline of what actually happened. Shannon got home at 1:45 from her business trip. They went to sleep. Apparently she didn't actually initiate sex like he originally said. When Chris woke up though, him and her got into an argument. She accused him of cheating and he snapped and strangled her. While this was happening, Bella woke up and walked into the bedroom asking, "What's wrong with Mummy?" Chris then wrapped his wife's body in a sheet. And remember how the police officer actually mentioned that the bed was stripped from sheets? So that's why there was no top sheet there.
Yeah.
He dragged her into the truck while Bella was still watching. Chris then drove off to the oil site, which he worked at with Bella and Celeste in the back. Chris told investigators that both girls were sitting on the bench seat of his truck Chris told investigators that both girls sat on the bench seat of his truck while he drove to bury his wife. The sheets were used as part of the evidence used to convict him. Now we're up to August 13th, 5:27 a.m. The neighbor's footage shows Chris loading his work truck and leaving. Fast forward to 10:10 a.m. After Chris has disposed of his wife and daughter's bodies, he looks up the lyrics to a Metallica song called Battery, which, knowing what he had just done, is just absolutely sick.
Sorry.
Chris claims that he just Googled the lyrics to the song because Nicole liked the song and asked Chris what it meant. To me, that sounds like a bullshit excuse. He also denied looking up the lyrics on the way to or from burying the girl. Then the story continues on with the same information as before, which was Shannon's friend reporting her missing and then the police. He also contradicts himself at one stage because he said that he snapped and murdered her, but second story, he actually says that the only reason why he killed Shannon was because he walked in on Shannon smothering the kids and he got mad. So he's contradicted himself. So on August 15th at 11:30, Chris is arrested on suspicion of 3 counts of first-degree murder and 3 counts of tampering with a deceased human body. A day later, Shannon's body was found in a shallow grave near the oil site, and Celeste and Bella were found in the 2 oil tanks there. On the 21st of August, Chris appears in court with Shannon's family appearing. November 9th, Chris pleads guilty to all counts. However, there were 3 charges added, which were 2 additional murder charges as Bella and Celeste were under the ages of 12. The other charge was 1 count of unlawful termination of a pregnancy, which makes it 9 charges in total. In this court appearance, Chris's mother and father spoke. Shannon's brother, mother, and father spoke. Chris decided not to speak, however, he asked his lawyer to say a brief statement on his behalf, which was, although he understands words are hollow at this point, he is truly sorry for all of this. The final sentence for Chris was 3 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole in February 2019, so quite a while after the murder. He has come out with the whole story, which is pretty similar. However, I would take this with a grain of salt because he has lied so many times. He could be coming out to clear his guilty conscience or to give closure for the family or just to seek attention. However, in this interview, he has fully confessed to killing the daughters and Shannon, which we all know, and he just wasn't thinking. Since the trial, Nicole has come out and said that everything Chris has said, he lied about. This case just leaves me with so many questions.
Yeah.
Like, what would possess a man to kill his pregnant wife,
Yeah.
followed by his 2 young daughters?
What was his true motive? 'Cause
Yeah.
We don't really know.
Yeah. Secondly, does he feel remorse?
No, I don't think so. I think the only sort of regret he may be feeling is that he is now in jail.
Yeah. Yeah. But it also made me think more about being charged over an unborn child.
Yeah.
That was another thing, because I've heard cases like that before. The Lacey Peterson case, her husband murdered her while she was 8 months pregnant. And he was charged for that as well. So,
Was it?
yeah.
But was it an unlawful
Yes,
termination of
yes.
a pregnancy? So it's not, you don't get charged with a murder, but how
No.
long?
Oh, well, I don't know. But usually if you're charged with unlawful termination of a pregnancy, you probably killed the person, as the mother as well. I think also another thing that wasn't really spoken much about was how Chris's parents are also victims in this case. Because think about it, they've lost their grandchildren.
Yeah.
And also their son's in jail.
Yeah, it would always be hard being a parent of that kind of person.
Yeah. I also just wanted to take a moment to remember Shannon, Belle, Celeste, and the unborn child, Nico. They had their whole life ahead of them, and they were, so happy. And someone who was their idol and they just loved and cared for so much just took it away from them. Yeah. So that's the end of the case.
Next week, we shouldn't say next week. Next time I'll be doing a case on the Sodder children.
Yes, so
You've
get
heard
ready
of
for
it?
that.
So that's going to be another unsolved one.
Thank you for watching this video, and we'll see you next time.
I wanted to say thank you for this moment. I want to take a moment to thank everyone who has prayed for our beloved family, who had sent gifts, cards to us from all over the world. I know God will put the evil people where they need to be. I also want to take the time to thank the town of Frederick, Greeley, FBI, the DA's office, the CBI, for exceptional work. We thank Nicole Atkinson, Shannon's neighbor Nathan, and his family. To me, they're our heroes. They really are. God bless.
Yourself for the record.
My name is Sandra Rusak, Shannon's mother.
Thank you.
I wanted to say thank you for this moment. I want to take a moment to thank everyone who has prayed for our beloved family, who had sent gifts, cards to us from all over the world. I know God will put the evil people where they need to be. I also want to take the time to thank the town of Frederick, Greeley, FBI, the DA's office, the CBI, for exceptional work. We thank Nicole Atkinson, Shannon's neighbor Nathan, and his family. To me, they're our heroes. They really are. God bless. God makes no mistakes on who he puts in your life. Marriage is about love, trust, and friendship and unity. We marry for sickness and health, to death do us part. Our daughter Shannon loved you with all of her heart. Your children loved you to the moon and back. Shannon's family was her world. Shannon put a crown on your head. But unfortunately, the day that you took their life, God removed that crown. We loved you like a son. We trusted you. Your faithful wife trusted you. Your children adored you, and they also trusted you. Your daughter Bella Marie sang a song proudly. I don't know if you got to see it, but it was, "Daddy, you're my hero." I have no idea who gave you the right to take their lives. But I know God and his mighty angels were there at that moment to bring them home to paradise. God gives us free will. So not only did you take the family of four, your family of four, you took your own life. I want the world to know that our daughter and her children were so loved by us There will always be protected by God and his mighty angels. I didn't want death for you because that's not my right. Your life is between you and God now, and I pray that he has mercy for you. From Shannon's mother, Bella Marie, Celeste Catherine, and Nico Lee's, Nana. Thank you, Your Honor. God makes no mistakes on who he puts in your life. Marriage is about love, trust, and friendship and unity. We marry for sickness and health, to death do us part. Our daughter Shannon loved you with all of her heart. Your children loved you to the moon and back. Shannon's family was her world. Shannon put a crown on your head. But unfortunately, the day that you took their life, God removed that crown. We loved you like a son. We trusted you. Your faithful wife trusted you. Your children adored you, and they also trusted you. Your daughter Bella Marie sang a song proudly. I don't know if you got to see it, but it was Daddy, You're My Hero. I have no idea who gave you the right to take their lives. But I know God and his mighty angels were there at that moment to bring them home to paradise. God gives us free will. So not only did you take the family of four, your family of four, you took your own life. I want the world to know that our daughter and her children were so loved by us. There will always be protected by God and his mighty angels. I didn't want death for you because that's not my right. Your life is between you and God now, and I pray that he has mercy for you. From Shannon's mother, Bella Marie, Celeste Catherine, and Nico Lee's, Nana. Thank you, Your Honor.